Hello everyone, this is Ben back with you in the model shop. Today we're going to go ahead and work on the Aft Conning Tower to the USS Arizona. The conning tower, small cramped little area way up high above the ship's deck, and the point of it was to navigate the ship during battle from this position. So real basic amenities up here, lots of windows to see outside, maybe a telegraph machine to communicate with the main bridge, and then of course the the voice tube you can shout into, hello, I'd like a cheeseburger, stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and cover the parts that are used in the kit. We'll go over the kit supplied photo etch metal. They actually use that on this piece. And then of course our supplemental Edward photo etch detail set that we use as well. And we're going to go ahead and build it up just like we did for the funnel. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, here's our stuff. Let's go ahead and start out here. This is the Arizona Trumpeter kit main top. This kit actually has all the parts you need for the main top in it after going through the instructions. This is for both of them. So finally we have an Edward kit that, this is actually what it's used for. I did go ahead and dig up the railing kit because we're starting to get into places on the superstructure down here where there's some little places that railing gets installed. So we're going to go ahead and start working on that as well. Moving on here, this is one of the kit supplied photo etch details. This is basically the bulk of the extra stuff. The other piece is just railing. But some of these details right here are used on these parts as well. This is our top conning tower. And then of course the bulk of the main pieces. Alright, moving along over here to the instruction manual. Got a few pages here, not that complicated, starts on 19. Move over here. I am probably, when we get to this stage, this step right here, probably going to fit it to the ship to make sure that the angle is correct in terms of all the three places where this thing squares up, and then I'll glue it together before we move on. And then we get into a lot of the detail over here. And by this point you're pretty much wrapped up, including with the Edward photo etch details. So let's go ahead and start our build. This should be fun. Alright, right away I can't even get anywhere without having a big change come up. So in this first step you've got this kit supplied photo etch, which is right here, and as you can see it's very nice. It's this rib detail here, and if you go over to the Edward kit, that's E13, that's the piece you're going to attach to. Right away you're supposed to attach railing part 1 up here. Go to the railing part 1 in the photo etch kit, and right away you can see you have the detail on the bottom, which is supplied in the Trumpeter kit, but it also has the railing attached to the top, which is absolutely perfect. So, kit part, I'm sorry you're not getting used. We're going to go ahead and install the Trumpeter piece instead. So I just have to decide how I'm going to go about doing this. I want to make sure that once this is on, it's not going to interfere with me putting all these pieces together. I don't want to mess anything up. So let's go ahead and figure that out. But anyway, I thought that was noteworthy, worth sharing with everybody. Alright, man, well I'm getting nowhere fast without running into other things I need to do. This is part E14, Echo 14 and 15. It's the main mast that the conning tower sits on top of. And I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and glue these together. I'm sure once you glue it together it's fine, but it wiggles. There's just not, it's thick plastic. I'm sure it's more than adequate, but I don't care for the flex, especially since this is the main one that's just going to sit, straight up like this and not move. So here we have, this is in my private stash, a 3/32 aluminum rod, and look at that. It drops right in there, and it's not interested in flexing at all. The only problem is with the locator pins. We'll zoom in a little bit here. The locator pins on the inside, it won't close up all the way, And you also have consideration right there is a little hole where a part will fit in, but we can work around that. So given this, I'm going to go ahead and remove the locator pins, remove the parts on the inside. We'll glue this, we'll glue this into place. That's going to give it a really firm and robust feel, and we'll put the halves together, and then we'll have a piece that's a little bit more heavy duty. You know, everybody knows how these things can be flexy and flimsy, and there's easy line for the rigging and stuff to make that better, but anytime we can beef stuff up and make it robust, we want to go ahead and do that. So short of firing up my lathe in the shop and turning a new piece and adding this plastic parts to it, which I could do, but that would be a massive undertaking and totally not worth the time. We'll just go ahead and do this. So we'll step on with that next. Alright, I glued this piece together. I got the aluminum in there, and it's, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's firm. And any irregularities, it's got a little bit of flex to it in terms of I can bend it and straighten it out if I need to, or move it, is there. And that worked out great. So the next issue or item, these pieces have all this photo etch and they go together, but over here you can see anything that's in red needs to be removed, like the entire bottom of that part. And then we have all this awesome photo etch to replace it. Well, I pulled those pieces off. I removed the areas that need to be removed, like the entire bottom of this piece. You can see where I've removed stuff, but all the little red putty, those are sinkholes, or from the molding. And man, you know, it's going to go on the bottom. You're not going to see this per se, but if I'm going to bother doing all the photo etch work, I need to try and fill the holes in, right? So I'm going to do the best I can with that, and once it's done, sand it off and smooth and everything, we'll go ahead and put on the photo etch metal, and hopefully it turns out alright. Some of these parts I removed extra pieces, like if you could see, like right here, this rib exists, but I accidentally cut it off over there. No big deal, I'll fill it back in with some styrene to replace that part, but this is taking a lot of, this is going to be a lot of sanding to clean all this up. So I'm just going to do the best I can to fill these in, and then we'll get the photo etch on. Next shot should be photo etch installed on something. Let's do that now. Alright, we're taking a little intermission here. This thing's sitting on here, it's mocked up. This is a huge pain in the rear end, and it's taken a lot of work just to get it here, just kind of sitting. It's not just to figure out what's going on. That's alright. Well, I'll show you what I've done. So I pulled this thing off. It's just mocked up, and I've got some photo etch done underneath here. If we pull this out, get those parts out of there, this thing's going to take some adjusting. So obviously the whole thing's roughly assembled. You had to put these levels on first, basically to work on the photo etching that goes underneath there, because a lot of the photo etching bumps up against the center mast, and without, basically, how are you supposed to put the photo etch on and then install the mast and have everything be in the right spot? So it's got to be done first. So okay, fine. So I went ahead, here, let's focus in on this and work down the top part. There we go. So I went ahead and put this all together. Basically, I had to rough mount it just like you saw it before and glue this conning tower into place onto the mast so that I could get it trued up left and right and in and out from the rest of the ship, because I had a little bow to it. Then I went ahead and attached all the photo etch metal to it, which does and doesn't look good. I put this top piece on, which is basically the eye on an I-beam, and it looked cooler without it. But then from this angle, it obviously looks really good. And then none of this really matters because the average person is going to see it like this, in which case you can't really see it at all. There are a couple more pieces that attach right in here, but I need to wait until I have the tripod beams in place so that that will line up. This piece, so there's a hole right here for this guy to clip into place, like so. I had to trim it. The hole that is in the mast, some of you recall I was saying like, well, I might have to do something because I've ran a piece of aluminum through that you could see. That aluminum piece wasn't an issue. This fits in just fine. The thickness of the tab was a problem though. As you can see there, that's the tab, and right there, and I had to thin it. It was the thickness of the plastic. I had to thin it to this size to actually fit in the hole. And even though I thinned it to favor the top, when it's installed in the mast, like so, obviously I want it perpendicular or parallel, perpendicular mast and parallel to the deck below it. Well, when you put the legs on it, it's like crooked like this. So I'm going to end up cutting that tab off, filling in that hole, letting these two corners attach to the tripod, we'll call it, and then I'll just butt this thing up level, probably right about there, so that it's straight the way that it's supposed to be. Yeah, and that's it. Now that this is done, I can go ahead and start doing the rest of the photo etch here, and then glue the tripod into the mast on the ship so it's glued into place, then pull it off again so that we could do the finishing photo etch around the edge, the rails and everything. And there's a ladder that goes on places. There's all this stuff so that we could shoot it. And then it'll just, I mean, it drops right into place. Just clunk, this goes in, and then there's two spots right here. It installs easily. But I want it to end up straight and plumb. That's the issue. This was very difficult to make straight and plumb, and a lot of you probably knew already that that it is hard to do. So anyway, I think it'll be worth the effort when I'm finished up. And if I was to do this again, I probably would have left off this piece on the photo etch, which I could show you on the instructions here. This image is part 32. I would have left that off. And these parts down here in the bottom, those are the ones I'm going to install after the mast is in, the tripod, we'll call it, is in place. But I would have left that off because these parts by themselves look really, really cool. We got ladders, we got little handles to put in. We got this support piece. Yeah, there's a lot of photo etch. It's going to look great when it's done. But man, getting everything lined up so it stays straight has been a very unpleasant process so far. This video is turning out to be way longer and more involved than I thought it was going to be. So let's get some more stuff done so you guys can see it wrapped up and ready for paint. Done. It's finished. There's all the photo etch that you can see kind of from the bottom. Underneath there's ladders in the front. Let me go ahead and change views so you can see that real quick. Alright, this is what it looks like from the starboard side, from the front. Let's zoom in. I didn't put the machine guns up in the very top yet. We'll do that after painting. You can see all the railing and the fun ladders. A lot of this photo etch, for those of you who are doing the Big Ed kit, this railing detail right here went on real easily because you have this entire big flat area to glue to, and you just, you know, start in the middle, tack it down, and just drag it around the whole thing. It was really easy. So let me take it off. We'll take one more look at the bottom detail. So here it is removed, and if you flip it up, you can see all of the, well, everything that I filled, and we'll see how well that turns out after I paint it. And all of the pieces underneath here. This square thing, there's 4 of them, that's kit supplied photo etch. But everything else is Big Ed. There is more kit supplied photo etch. Basically this detail around here in the bottom is included, but the rails are not. Big Ed made this one piece. This big bottom piece and the rail are one part, and it makes it super easy to install. Super grateful about that. The ladder that you see going up through those holes, you have to increase the size of the holes right up in there to 3.5 millimeter by 3.5, but you could do that with a little file. It's no trouble. Same with that one. This is up on top. You got some ammo boxes for your machine guns, and then these ladders, these really long ladders, were a piece of cake to install. We've got our little ship's bell right there. So, next step, paint. Navy blue up to here, I believe, and then from here on up we're going to go with probably a light gray, like ghost gray or something like that. I'm not going to do just blatant flat white. I think that will look wrong. So, let's paint it and show that part next. Ta-da! It's all painted. It is not perfectly done yet because I could only mask off so much of the tripod, and so I had to switch to a brush. I'm using flat white paint. If I zoom way in, get the focus here, you'll see it's a little gloppy on the tower, so I have to fix that. But got our ship's bell down there, and there it is. Boy, that was a lot of work. But zoomed out here, you can see, I mean, it looks cool. Go down a little bit so you get a little bit of a profile here. I mean, it's just nice and contrasting to what's going on. We'll put some weathering on it. I like flat white for weathering because you could add like little grays or little bits of I don't know if rust is the right word, but there's little tones you can add to it to just help everything pop out a little bit, and you're still keeping it clean. I have not painted yet here the clock. It's white, and I know it's not a, that's the little clock here, that's not actually a clock. That is what is used for arranging targets when you've, if you're the lead battleship shooting a target and you've figured out, you know, the range to the unfortunate fellow at the other end, but all the other ships in your line haven't figured out yet, they can zoom in and look at your, we'll call it clock, and go, oh, it's, you know, X amount of distance away, and let's set our range to that, and we can have fun with that person too. So here it is, all set. I know this was a long video. It looks cool. I'll finish up putting on the a rangefinder goes here, and spotlights go here, and up on the top we have 50 caliber machine guns that go up there. We'll add those on next time. And this whole thing also is not glued in yet. I just set it down. The reason is this whole area right in here gets railing, and you know, look at my fingers, like, and even with tweezers mess around here, it'd be a lot easier. Just pull this out, put in my railing, paint up, and then we'll put that back in place. So that is going to be the plan. I have to go back to work for a few days, so it was real important to me to be able to try and get one more video out to everyone before, you know, I think it's been like a week, just before too long here before I had to go back to work. So anyway, that's the progress. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for clicking on the new channel and subscribing. This is where all the videos will post from here on out. And have a wonderful night.